Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to the Bespoke Show. I'm Suma Bogiraj, and today we are here to discuss on how technology has become the integral part of every organization or business, and due to which it is redefining the competences that a manager is expected to have in order to lead any team, or for that matter, an organization or a team. So, as you see, 3 decades ago, a manager was viewed as a generalist who understood technology. But today, every manager is expected to be proficient with the technology.
Actually, I think the most important thing is learning how to learn. And I don't much care whether you started from technology and came to business or started from business and came to technology. Whatever you know now, you will have to relearn every 2 or 3 years because the pace of development is so fast. So what I really want is to teach people how to learn.
That's very interesting. I think we all need to have a culture of being a student forever.
Right, absolutely. I think we will all be students forever. We'll all be immersed in lifelong learning. We'll all be changing careers several times over our life.
That's so inspiring. Vinod, would you like to add?
Yes, in fact, if you ask an MBA prof that whether it should be technology or MBA, of course we'll say MBA. But for a change, I think what's happening is in the last 5 years, the entire concept of management is now being viewed differently because of technology, right? So today we are confronted with overloads of data, which was not the case, say, about 15, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we had shortage of data, right? Today, we have access to data. We have a lot of information. So perhaps the traditional facets of management will remain, but decision making is much faster. We are much agile, and we are able to basically forecast trends which was perhaps not so accurate around 2 decades ago, right? So whether an MBA should be a technologist or technology should be an MBA, I don't think we can run away from technology, right? It's already there. So it makes more sense to say that it's instead of either or, it's MBA and technology.
True. Actually, if we see some of the top brands like Amazon, Apple, for example, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and they're all US tech companies, right? And elsewhere in the world, we have the internet conglomerate, Tencent, and we have the e-commerce giant, Alibaba. They're all tech companies. I just wonder how they go about filling up their managerial workforce. Would they pick up let's say an MBA with a technology background, or would they pick up a technologist and who has an appreciation for business skills? Or the third option, would they just pick someone who has a talent to pick diverse skills and then hone their skills on the job and keep them incentivized to keep doing better and better? Do you have any thoughts to share?
Managerial positions as of today and in the future would definitely require some kind of an exposure to technology, for a simple reason that we can't now delegate technology related jobs to people who are good at it. It's a specialist job, of course, but it's extremely important for management graduates to understand what technology does. So I'll give you a simple example. Most of the examples that you took, technologists who are working in those companies are fundamentally specialists, right? And they are specialized in a particular area. Now, if I take an example of marketing research using technology, that itself is a highly specialized area. So we write complex algorithms to fundamentally understand consumer behavior, consumer spending, and things like that. But can such a person run a company? Can a person grow the company? Of course, the person can. But what is perhaps missing here is the ability of this person to perhaps see the business as an ecosystem, right? So one of the reasons why these schools, business schools, are under pressure today is because if we create generalists as we talk, as the days go by, generalists who decide to shun technology will have a very tough time managing these companies.
If I can jump in there, I think there's no doubt that every manager is going to have to know how to use technology, and they're going to know how technology can do things, what can be done, what's possible. But I think the vast majority would not be actually the technology specialist. So the technology specialists would gradually retreat, I believe, into an AI box.
Right.
And what's really needed is the managers that understand how to operate those AI boxes.
Actually, the scenario in India, particularly with respect to the MBAs, that's what you are talking. It's completely different than that of other countries. We are just taking the MBAs freshly from the colleges. The other countries doesn't do that actually. They need at least minimum 4 to 5 experience person to enter into MBA. Here is the problem with us actually. When we talk about the companies which is taking the MBAs here, they are also feeling that they have to spend a lot of money on this training itself for these people. Even though in our college we are able to introduce the collaboration and making them to get trained during the MBA itself, it is very cost factor for us also. So many things are embedded in this. Making them proficient enough to enter into the industry well before the MBA is the best thing. That's what I feel. But with respect to engineering, it is even more pathetic condition in India. When they don't have any of the experience during the engineering also. So when they are going to the industry, they have to get that application-oriented engineering aspects. There is no other goal. Many things have to be done with respect to the curriculum itself.
Something very interesting what Dr. Vijayashree has brought up, that when somebody who is just he's in the study phase, he has just completed his graduation and enters an MBA, the kind of the understanding, it will be a completely a theoretical knowledge that he will be looking at. I mean, he will be acquiring, I mean, in terms of like say how he understands the whole this thing. So the industry experience is something which is lacking. So one of our concerns, I mean, one of our points was also, is the trend shifting from doing a core generalistic MBA to the master's program in data analytics, science, and AI, and etc. I mean, is MBA losing its luster?
Yes. So if you look at, I'm talking of the Indian context, Dr. Ian. So you must pardon me for speaking on the Indian context. So if you look at, let's look at some data, we'll understand this. Of course, the enrollments for the master's program in analytics, has definitely gone up. There's no doubt. I was just looking at the data the other day. It is actually shooting up day by day. But the enrollments in your generalist program is not coming down. So if I were to take the total number of students who are enrolling for a CAT exam, which is by far the best filter that most top business schools in India use, the variance is hardly 5% plus or minus. So the number of students who are actually taking up these exams are actually by and large static with a plus of minus 5%. Having said that, enrollments in data analytics programs is definitely going up, right? So what is happening today is a lot of people today perhaps want to specialize in technology. That's what it fundamentally shows, but not at the expense of a good managerial program or a good MBA program, right? So I'll just throw some light on this. In a master's analytics program, the focus is completely on data-driven decision sciences. It's completely decision sciences, nothing but that. In an MBA program, a business school basically gives you a flavor of everything and allows you to then choose an area that you want to specialize in, right?
Okay.
Let me agree with that. I think that analytics is definitely on the increase, but I think that generalized MBA is not going down. But you mentioned theoretical versus practical and the absence of practical skills. I think MBAs that are overemphasizing theory and underemphasizing practice, those are the ones that will suffer the most.
I feel even the general MBAs, the HR, marketing, finance, whatever we are trying to give it, along with AI and databases and other technological oriented things, if it has been incorporated to the students, naturally this the saying goes on, like within another 5 years, all the traditional HR will go away because AI is coming in. But what I feel is a lot many more type of jobs is being expected even in the generalist HR roles, marketing roles, and finance roles.
This discussion is taking shape in a very interesting way. I think there are very interesting insights from all three panelists. What it tells me is that a manager has to be able to leverage on technology for a successful business, and a technologist also has to have a basic understanding of business skills in order to be able to value add to the business. This brings me to another topic, and again, this is something that I would like to have insights from all the three panelists. Industry 4 is a buzzword today, right? It's not just about technology disruption. It goes far beyond. On the one hand, we have challenges of finding data drivers who can drive technology disruption. But on the other hand, we also have the challenge of technological tools such as IoT, cloud computing, and blockchain, for example. They're all bringing about a global connectivity today. So the challenges of a global business is creating a very highly competitive environment, right? And on the other hand, we also have the challenge of cross-cultural integration. Because we are going to be globalized, we also have to deal with cross-cultural challenges. So Vijayashree was mentioning about getting MBAs to orient to industries through various programs. So is it possible that we get some insights on how, either in India or internationally, the players in the academic ecosystem, how are they trying to create those new leaders that can cope with all of these challenges and yet stay relevant to the industry expectations?
I can tell you one of the things we're doing. So we're expanding our range of exchange programs. So the vast majority of our MBAs will go and study in another country for at least part of their time. We're also expanding our range of action learning programs. So every student has to take an action learning course. And most of those are now run with partners from other countries. So they actually will work with people from China or India or US on practical management problems in Thailand or sometimes in one of those host countries. So they get first-hand experience of multinational, multicultural teams addressing business problems.
Awesome. Is there something that we can pride of also in the Indian network? Maybe Vijayashree can throw a light, followed by Vinod.
Even in the smaller institutions like ours, we tried it actually. Like Dr. Rayan, how he has mentioned, sending our students to various foreign countries and getting internship there actually. The problem in the internship is very limited period as far as our university is concerned here. So, similar to other universities also. Maximum of 10 weeks they are giving it. Wherein other universities in foreign, they are extending it further on. So, but still we are trying to figure it out whether 6 weeks or 10 weeks programs can be there in different universities and abroad. And that is working out very nicely for our students. That is what we have seen it for the past 3-4 years. And they are learning a lot of cultural differences, the leaders, how they are functioning, what are the values they have, like what they have to incur within themselves if they wanted to become global leaders in future. Those things they are able to get it. That learning is very good actually when we send it to outside countries. And we would like to extend it further also, because at present we are concentrating on only 7 to 8 countries. We would like to extend it further also. The same thing even we are advocating to other colleges also. We are helping other colleges also to expand this program.
So our experience has been that we have a lot of talent in India in the industry to actually spend time with our students on blockchain and different kinds of latest technologies that are there. So whether you talk of logistics and supply chain, you talk of financial markets, banking and financial markets, you talk of marketing, we have enough talent in the country who can come and share what they're doing in the industry. And we are also now running certification programs for our students to upskill themselves. So that's what we are doing right now. But we are also doing something very interesting this year. We are taking our entire batch of 333 students to Dubai to a place called Infi. Infi is the technology incubator of the Dubai government. Now, what is happening is they have entrepreneurs who are actually working in cutting edge technologies like blockchain, for example, right? There is also a gentleman who's working on cryptocurrency out there.
Okay.
Now, what we are going to do is we are going to go there. We are going to divide our students into cohorts of 40. And entrepreneurs will come in and throw challenges at them. And they have to basically give back a solution in about 6 hours. So we are killing two birds with one stone. One is their ability to cross-culturally understand how different nationalities work in Dubai with the Zinfi incubator. At the same time, our students also get an exposure to how those people actually think of technology, right? So Indians are fundamentally champion coders and champion programmers. So we have a tendency to see it very technically. Those gentlemen and ladies out there also see it from a business point of view.
Very interesting. I think there's a very good integration happening through these programs.
Yes.
To make sure that the faculty at various institutions also keep upskilling in order to make sure that they stay relevant to the industry at all times. Only then they'll be able to obviously do the best that is needed for the situation as far as the students is concerned.
Yeah.
Again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just now I am coming from one meeting actually.
That faculty development is always a challenge. And in technology, it's probably an extreme challenge. And in learning technology, it's an even greater challenge. And so I think we constantly have to be sending faculty on courses and seminars to develop their skills. And the fact of the matter is, many of them are reluctant to go because they believe they know everything. What they learned 20 years ago is the end, and of course it's not. And so we actually make people go for retraining and reskilling.
Look at it in terms of faculty development is there are two very key activities that we pursue out here. And we do it because we realize that most of the faculty need upgradation from time to time. So one of the things that we do is we encourage a lot of faculty to do consulting. So some of us are into majorly consulting assignments with industry. So we bring back that experience to the students. And also joint projects with a lot of companies, which some of our faculty are already on to. But most importantly, we are now looking at an internship for faculty. So for example, all schools are very happy sending out these kids on internships, right? We are very happy sending them to companies, go work hard for 2 months, bring back something, do this, do that. So now one of the things our director has done is he's actually opened up the doors for faculty internship. So just to quote an example, some of us actually will be now doing internship in machine learning, and we have no idea what it is, but we are actually going to spend around 2 to 3 months in a company. Could be a startup, could be an established company. We are not worried about that, but we're going to spend time there, understand what is this animal called machine learning, what exactly is happening out there, how is it affecting business. So in short, we are doing 3 things. We are doing consulting, we are doing joint projects, and we are motivating people to take extended internships with companies.
Something very interesting that I could, note from we know this that how they're actually shaping up the faculty. This thing, like say you're allowing them to consult the the industry, and you are also allowing for the internships, and then valuing the certifications. I mean, say there are a number of the online, as you see right now, there's no dearth of information, and you said there is a data explosion, and then similarly there are number of online certifications available. You would be knowing Coursera, Udemy, then your Simply Learn, and so many international and Indian portals available there. So that's something. And one more important thing, even Vijayashree is heading the entrepreneurship cell also at BNMIT, right? So how, an important thing we were all looking at and hearing also is the cost of management education is prohibitive. I mean, instead of investing that much money and spending 2 years of time, is it, I mean, a student from a technology, is he more interested in, doing this, additional certifications, and then also how interesting is, getting into the entrepreneurship, circle, and then even developing even a minimum viable project, spending that much 2 years time and bringing up something of your own will be more interesting and valuable as an experience to get into something bigger. So if he succeeds, he wins, and if he doesn't, he will walk out with an experience, right? I mean, so that's something. So that's where it is diverting also. So what's your views, Vijayashree? I mean, what do you?
The entrepreneurship can happen before 25 or after 45. That's what I feel. So in between, it's very difficult actually. So before 25, I always advise these kids. So before 25, it is easy. You can take maximum risk. After that, the risk will be borne by your wife because she has married you. So many of our students, what they say is, generally in India, when they are coming for this engineering, they would have got the loans actually. Maximum parents, they will always pinpoint saying that, we have got the loans for your education and all these things. Though we are training them for the entire engineering or MBA for the entrepreneurship related, knowledge, at the end of the course, when the placement comes into, they are moving towards placement only than going for the entrepreneurship. So it is a risky thing for them because they are looking at the parents and the parents are forcing them to take up the placements. Though we can say that you can take all the risk before 25, everything, it is again the vicious cycle of bringing back to them to the placements itself. Now, it is a tough game for me actually because I trained them completely for becoming an entrepreneur. But at the end of the day, because of the entrepreneurial aspects and the knowledge which they have gained, they are the first one who have been picked by these industries for the best jobs.
So we've tried to build entrepreneurship right way through the program. We hope that students don't have to choose between pursuing an MBA or setting up a business. Many of them do both. And we've tried to accommodate that. We run Bangkok Business Challenge here in Bangkok, which is a global startup competition. And I just heard entries closed last night, and we've got actually almost 3 times as many entries as we had last year, and twice as many as the previous high. So there's obviously a huge surge in entrepreneurship. We're also trying to start a short, mainly online program, SATS in School for Startups, to try to accommodate people that can't afford or don't want to take the time to devote themselves to full-time education. I think business schools are going to have to change the way they do things so they have multiple tracks for students to pursue.
Okay.
That the cost of failure is very high. The social cost of failure is very high, right?
Social cost, yeah, that's the right word.
So I had a very close friend's brother in Bangalore who wanted to do this, and he did it. And finally, his mother pointed out to the entire blame that he could not get married because nobody is willing to marry him because he's a failed entrepreneur. So it fundamentally boils down to a very high social cost for the individual. This is point 1. Point 2, therefore, what happens is we, for example, encourage failed entrepreneurs to come into our program. So I think in the first year, I have around 7 or 8 students who are 27 years old, who have tried entrepreneurship, who could not make it for some reason. They are now enrolled in the program. Their learning is completely different from the other students' learning. These guys are more interested in finding out how does a firm work, how do I raise funds, how do I get a patent, how do I ensure I get my first sale, how do I build a sales pipeline. This is how these guys are fundamentally looking at it. But still we have the problem is somewhere the ecosystem does not support failure. That is where we have a larger issue, right? And as academicians, I think we hold a solid responsibility to build this case up, right? So example, if somebody is trying hard to run a company for 5 years of the prime time of his or her life, fine, things don't go well, I think it's absolutely fine. You welcome the person to the business school, he or she finishes the program, When employability comes into picture, suddenly there are issues in terms of what did this person do for 5 years. If the person was not successful there, how are you sure the person will be successful here? These are mindsets, fundamentally mindsets. And unless we actually work on those mindsets, a lot of our young talent will be happy doing an MBA or an MTech or a master's in data analytics and taking up jobs in good companies and running their entire life with an 80% EMI and 20% NPS kind of savings, right?
Very practical.
Yeah.
I think that probably sums up why 90% of the startups don't take off. You have given so many reasons that can contribute to this. And probably the 25-45 age band that Vijayshri was mentioning about, I have another perspective to it, not another dimension rather. It's also probably because at 25, you don't have too many things to unlearn. And at 45, I think you have to go through the journey before you can start doing something new, right? So that's probably also adds to the reason why they're not able to take off as quickly as the ones who start off at 25. I just want to take this to another dimension because we are talking of entrepreneurship, right? Today in businesses, the perspective is very different from a traditional perspective of why people do businesses. The ROI in terms of commercials is no longer a benchmark or a purpose for the business. The purpose is more intangible, it's more societal, it's more about what kind of an impact you can make on the community. So when you talk of entrepreneurship, we need people who have a bigger vision, who have a stronger purpose within them, a hunger to create something, and somewhere the revenue flow has to take a back seat if you really want to do something big. And not many people can afford that, right? So that's another angle for why entrepreneurships don't take off very, very easily. From an academic perspective, in an entrepreneurship scenario, how would you create these kind of values or instill these kind of values when you train people to become entrepreneurs?
We try to put sustainability, what we call sustainability through entrepreneurial mindset, right at the heart of the program. And the program actually starts with a compulsory course on sustainability and what we call Skills and Values Week, where we try to build both simple skills, negotiation, presentation, working in groups, but alongside that, we try to build values. The idea that sustainability involves not just the environment, but also society, and of course, profit, financial sustainability. And we try to weave that through the entire program and through as many courses as we can, because I personally believe that sustainability is absolutely essential. If we go on doing the same thing we've done in the past, then there's not going to be much future.
Actually, entrepreneurship cannot be taught. It has to be felt. By making people to understand the taste of the entrepreneurship, lot many exercises, emotional exercises we have to build in actually. Right from the first semester, we try to indulge them into the projects of their interest actually. So engineering, from the first semester, we indulge them in their labs of their own interest. Whatever they want to do, we encourage them by giving cash prizes and other things. So slowly they are moving into their passion, their ideas, their prototypes. With that, the displaying their prototypes and other things, they get slightly interest on certain issues. Along with that, here and there, their courses and other things are there. But still, I try to put in the importance of their ideas, which can be converted into patent. So many of the students, they wanted to file their ideas. So that is where the interest, it is, making them to, not to get into entrepreneurship initially, but at least to protect their ideas, their technologies and other things. Then slowly I'll make them to move into making them to talk to the failure entrepreneurs as well as successful entrepreneurs. So that mentorship and other things one-to-one, when they are able to bring in to campuses, when we are trying to bring in, they are able to get many ideas. And that one-to-one mentoring, not only with me, even they also are being allowed freely to talk with the entrepreneurs. So it's slowly, the interested students, bunch of students, they are moving towards entrepreneurship with these type of exercises.
I would like to add, because I would really love to see entrepreneurs actually doing something which is very valuable to society and mankind at large. But unfortunately, the truth is that ROI and EBITDA, cash flows, these are the mantras that one cannot escape, right? Fundamentally. So I think what the responsibility that teachers like us have is to basically show them the path of balancing between the financial parameters that every startup is expected to, basically ensure that is adhered to, right? Like cash flows and stuff like that, versus what exactly are we doing in terms of business model to contribute back to society.
The role, of the professors or the faculty, the way in grooming the evolving managers is, multifaceted, right? When we discussed a number of things, it was just not that, you yourself keep reskilling and, upgrading yourself. Plus, you'll also look at, like, say, you'll have to identify the opportunities where you can, whom to groom. Who is going to be getting into the entrepreneurs? What is the potential of each student? The roles of even the, not just the future managers, the people who are grooming the future managers is also, much, it's changing, and it's so important. It's challenging. It's just not that, what you have studied and what you have to teach. That's not the thing. You have to continuously reskill yourself, is what you have been telling us. That's very interesting thing that we heard. So probably we have had a very good discussion, right, Asha? You have anything to add?
Absolutely. I think it was an amazing session, and if I were to take away two points from this session, one, creating a talent force that's going to add immense value to the ecosystem is a joint responsibility of everybody in the ecosystem, and it's not just restricted to the academic institutions or the corporates or the students. I think it's a joint responsibility, one. And two, I think there's no running away from the fact that all of us have to keep continually upskilling. So be a student forever is the mantra. Thank you very much to all the panelists for sparing valuable time on a Saturday.